Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Mike, and I am thrilled to be back. How have you been? Hope everything's going well. We are having a phenomenal summer here in upstate New York. You can hear the cicadas possibly buzzing in the background, some mowers off in the distance cutting the fresh grass, and the occasional car roaring up and down the street on their way back or heading to the lake. In a few minutes, I'm actually going to go hop on my motorcycle and take a ride up to the lake myself. But before I did that, I want to just talk to you for a minute about this idea of your customer being the hero. Have you heard people talk about that? Have you heard people say your customer is always the hero? No matter what you do in your marketing and in your branding, you've got to make the customer the hero. I've heard it a lot. I've heard it more than I'd like to admit. And the problem is that is just a wrong statement. It's a wrong statement. And I'm going to tell you why. So yes, your customer is the hero of their own story. Each one of us is kind of building and living a story. That's our life. And we're the hero of that story. You know, I grew up here, I went to school there, I overcame these problems, I won the pretty girl, I had the beautiful family, I lost the job, I got a new job. We're just building this narrative about ourselves, and in that narrative, we are the hero. But the problem I have with stating this as this kind of immutable law of nature, the customer is always the hero, is that it diminishes the customer. It kind of reduces them to the single-minded pig at a trough. It's like, you can't tell me that people don't understand there are other human beings, other organizations, other entities in this world that are living and doing and thinking and acting. You know, if it's all about me, if I'm the hero of my story and I can't handle the fact that other people have their stories, that other organizations have their stories, what kind of person am I? I mean, how sophisticated, how immature am I if I can't handle the fact that it's really not all about me? Don't we spend our whole life trying to tell our children that it's not all about them, that they have to learn to share the toy, that they can't win every game, that sometimes they're going to strike out when they're at bat, sometimes they're going to get a bad grade, and that they've got to get back up on that horse and try harder, because at the end of the day, it's not all about you. It's not all about you becoming happy, you being successful, and everybody thinking you're great. It's about you engaging the world as best you can, doing the best job, and becoming the best person that you can be. I think we all know that. I don't think I need to argue that. I think we understand that. So when marketers and branders make these statements that it's all about the customer and it has to be them as the hero or you're really doing it wrong, I just have to disagree. I think it does a disservice and it demeans and reduces the customer to this kind of unthinking, subhuman entity. And I just don't like that. I think it's bad. Okay, I think you know where I'm coming from. So let's talk about an instance or two where making your brand the hero is appropriate. Now, the first place and the biggest place that I want to talk about that you need to make your brand the hero is in your brand story. Now, I've been talking a little bit about story for the few minutes here. A story is a very simple narrative. It's kind of something with a linear beginning and an end. Yes, I know postmoderns, we can mix up stories and make them a little different than linear. But just for thousands of years, human beings have told stories from the beginning to the end. It's a linear thing, it's in a setting, it's a thing that happens, and typically there are 3 acts to it. There's like a 3-act play. So you've got your setting and you've got your call to action. This is where the hero, you have a protagonist or a hero, is called to action. There's some event, there's something that says to them, come out of your normal life and engage on this journey. Take this journey. Accept this challenge. And then the hero eventually accepts the challenge and they go on the journey and they struggle with some problem. There's some big challenge, problem, obstacle. It can be in the form of another person. It can be in the form of a group or organization, a government. It can be in the form of a natural disaster. It could be any sort of thing that causes them to have to fight through a problem, to overcome something, climb a mountain, vanquish an enemy, solve a really dangerous, sticky, tricky problem. This is the problem. And when they get through that, when the hero is successful, and they're not always successful right away, but when they're successful, they come out the other side transformed. They become more than they were before. They possess something that they didn't possess before. Joseph Campbell, in his Hero with 1,000 Faces, calls it a boon. The hero comes out the other side transformed, and they have a boon. And that boon is to be shared with his or her community. The hero goes back to where he came from and shares this gift that he or she was able to acquire through their journey. And so when it comes to your brand, it's important to tell your brand's story. Don't make your customer the hero. You've got to tell the story from the perspective of your brand being the hero. Your brand is living its life. It sees a problem. It says, this isn't right. I'm going to fix the problem. I'm going to solve it. Your brand solves the problem through struggle and focus and hard work and ingenuity and whatever the personality and characteristics of your brand happen to be. And then it solves a problem and makes the world a better place. And by doing so, it now has a gift it wants to give to the world around it. And this is the brand story. You've got to tell the story. You can't make the customer the hero. If you do that, you make this kind of insipid, insincere, story that's just patronizing and not effective. You've got to elevate your brand as the hero. Now, here's why this is not dangerous. The reason that this is not dangerous is because we talk about the customer's story, the customer's the hero. I'm a hero of my own life and my story. I got married, I had kids, I won the pretty girl, I had the lovely children, we built a life together, we have a home, I have a job, I built a company, all these ups and downs. I'm the hero of my own story. Okay, but within all that narrative, there are stories within stories. There are moments where I have a crossroads that I have to face and decide which way to go. There are moments where I have obstacles to overcome. There's moments where I get resistance from people or organizations or even inner turmoil that I have to vanquish somehow. And these stories within stories are where your brand can fit just nicely. I'm not saying that your brand should supplant your customer in their own story, but you have these kind of stories within stories, these chapters of their lives, these experiences they go through. And this is where your brand can be the hero. When I'm jammed up and I have a problem, I'm looking for a hero, whether it's a product, a service, a person, an organization, to save me, to help me. And by doing that, I don't all of a sudden diminish myself and say, well, I'm a nothing. I had to have help, so I'm no hero. I'm just a big loser. Loser. No, of course not. I'm grateful and I'm able to get on with my story. And this is where a little bit of nuance and sophistication come in. And people make these statements like, oh, the customer is always the hero, and then proceed to create some crappy marketing campaign. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it. You've got to understand people, human nature, the sophistication that we all have carry in our hearts, our hopes, our dreams, our desires. There's so much going on with us. And we're not threatened when someone else is the hero if it benefits us. We're threatened when someone else is the hero when they're trying to supplant our story, when they're trying to take over our narrative, when they're trying to push us out. That's actually that's an antagonist. If I'm the protagonist, someone trying to push me out of my own story, that's an antagonist. It's someone trying to unseat and usurp me. Your brand's never going to do that. I'm not recommending that. But don't fall prey to this simplistic idea that the customer always has to be the hero. There are stories within stories. Your brand is absolutely a hero. It has conquered a problem. It's vanquished an enemy. It has solved a really sticky situation and made the world a better place. And it has a boon, a gift to offer society. And you need to tell that story. And you need to look for opportunities that you can integrate that story into the stories within stories that your customers are living and creating and telling themselves. Guys, I hope this was useful. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We're having so much fun over here. It's killing me. Give me a thumbs up, a like if you enjoyed it, and leave a few comments. I love the comments, good, bad, indifferent. It's always nice to interact with you guys. I love you all. I'll catch you in the next video. Boom.